This is the I-beam bending mold chapter. So last chapter I showed you how to make the I-beam. This chapter is about how to use the I-beam to bend around. So both size I-beams, the large and the small, can be used. This one here this one here, we just cut it out of 45 and then glued another stick onto here. But then we also, for extra support, we bent, once that was dry, we bent this stick at that angle, in that shape, on this mold. And then when that was dry, we glued it and secured it. And what that does, including the popsicle sticks, it allows this whole piece to be super strong so you can bend something as strong as a paint stir stick. So there are some other shapes we've done here. I'm going to show you. And I want you to be clever on how to support it. This one here, we did a knee brace shape with a filler piece in the middle. And that's how we got this joint to be super strong. This one here, we added some popsicle sticks at the end, and that made it strong, and also we can clamp to that. And we did the same thing with popsicle sticks in a U shape. Otherwise, just having this joint glued and this joint glued, the T of this I-beam, is okay, but I'm using them so often that that extra support is critical. And the other thing I did was put this measuring tape on there and then sealed it up with box tape. And that'll make this piece last a very long time. So we're going to make one of these. Before I do that, we're going to show you how to make the bend. So if you wanted like 3.5 inches like the other one, 1, 2, 3.5, or you can relabel these, because I've got 1 through 3 or 4 here. But then this way you could white those out with whiteout, mark out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put your box tape on it so you'd have the right measurements. But you go 3.5, put the bending strap on there. Okay, so that's one side. You get that one side, then you can either take it to a hard surface like this, or sometimes you can bend it with your hands. But I do like the hard surface a little bit better. You put a lot of pressure down right where the bend is going to go. And then just give it a bunch of pressure in that spot. And you can hear the cracking and ripping of the material. And that's going to be okay, because I'm going to show you how later video how to clean that up. Sorry. And the strap allows you to see how much damage there was. And also, if I hadn't explained it to you, that the strap keeps the fibers intact from popping out. It just gives it that extra strength it needs so it doesn't break. And they're not all perfect. In a minute, I'll show you wherever, well, here it is right here. So they're not all perfect. I'll just go on to this one. This one is still wet. That's why it snapped out of there. But you can see that the joint is kind of opened up. But the way we solve that is we put a we kind of cut it out enough to fit a toothpick. And by doing that, it fills the void so it becomes strong again. Toothpick and glue, and then there'll be some sanding and maybe even some more gluing, but that'll make that strong. And then when this one's dry and they work together, then that could be a box or a joint or other things. But even though this one is broken, it's still got quite a bit of strength in that joint. You lost only like, half of the wood. But like I said, we're going to cut, slice, clean that out, put a toothpick in that void, fill it with glue, clamp it back, and then that piece now is back stronger. You could also make it stronger by bending another one of the pint-sized sticks on there, or taking one that's already bent, cut it here in the middle, and glue it on there. Much like we glued this one up. It's just added strength. So this is wider because the other piece was in there and I bent around that. You could, in theory, keep bending over and around and around and around and have them just continue to grow in size. Then it's kind of cool to nest them. One gets smaller and smaller and smaller. For this exercise, for making the molds, you are going to need a miter box, and you are going to need a miter saw. So let's just start there in the middle. That's an exercise of noise, isn't it? It's all right. Okay. So you cut your 45, and to make a right angle, bring it around. And glue it up into place. And you won't need a whole lot of glue because, just, even that was way too much probably. What I was thinking was just get the thing glued up into place. And when it dries, it'll dry in the right angle, and then we'll start to secure it, and I'll show you how to secure it. So there's a whole bunch of different, here's one of the right angles of the big stick. And we supported it by a toothpick. We supported it by a right angle piece, underneath, and one on the outside. And that's pretty secure. Now, like I said, this will probably be connected to something else, which is connected to something else, so on down the road. So this is a good example of combining two bending components together. So you can combine two pieces together and make different shapes. So you bring it down here, you clamp that on, and now you can bend this shape here. This is one at 45, and these cuts are 22.5. They're a little bit more complicated, but it gets you the 45 knee brace. That gets you this part right here. And this is a shelf bracket. we're going to get into more details on shelf. Sorry. We're going to get in more details of the shelf brackets in the next chapter. So these will be made into support a shelf. So maybe a little bit too much going on in this whole chapter here, but the point is to be creative, start practicing cutting some miters, gluing things up. You can see I used popsicle sticks here in this example to make that part stronger. In this case, I used some face sticks that just put right on the face of the joint, and that made that joint secure. And I also used the tape and the measuring tape and the plastic box tape. And that bent this 45 knee brace up. Another one, I supported that cut with another larger craft stick. Like this one here. And this one here, I bent these at right angle, and then instead of having the cut, I just overlapped the joint. So that overlap and these being solid and not a cut makes this joint real strong. So, and you can see the little bit of tearing going on. But like I said, once again, you know, even though it tore, we still saved quite a bit of the material. And because it's attached to something else, it's actually pretty strong. Well, the joint did not break. Just the sticks. There we go. And that's usually true. The glue very seldom fails. It's usually the part.